Hey there, it's Dan Wardrobe here from Flexible. I just had a too big a lunch in the office and a bit of carrot cake afterwards, and I'm feeling a little bit lethargic. Um, but anyway, I wanted to share with you a video about, I guess, the $1 million question, and that is how to land clients with deep pockets. All right, so I guess there's a few ways of doing this. In fact, we had someone in my private community post the other day about it was a big negative comment. I've followed the training, I've done what Dan said, we've done all of this, and I haven't had enough client conversations. And it was a bit of an eye opener because we haven't had many negative comments within the mastermind, and thankfully a lot of people kind of jumped in and tried to help this guy, and I think he's on the right track now. But it got me thinking about the way that when I first started in the lead generation game, what I used to do and how I used to hustle in order to get in front of the right people. And it was very manual, very labor intensive, but also highly personalized, I guess. And that's why I got in front of the right type of clients and started building relationships, which has, I guess, catapulted my pay per lead agency to a point where, clients really aren't a problem because we get referrals and all sorts of stuff like that. So the first, if I'm going to kind of whittle it down to a few different tips that I have, the first thing you've always got to do is make sure that you have an offer that converts, all right? And I speak about this and why pay per lead is so strong. It's because there's very little downside for clients to give you a go and to start that conversation, okay? And it doesn't matter how good your, sales skills are, or how good your ads are if you're doing paid acquisition, or how good anything is. If you don't have an offer that converts, it's going to be very hard to land these big clients, all right? So, you might not be selling pay per lead, but you might be doing retainer, or you might be engaging in some other form of service, right? So try and dress up your offer a little bit. Try and make it almost irresistible for them to get on the phone. And then, if you can't offer exactly what you've got in the outreach, then at least you've got them on the phone. You can start convincing them from there. Okay, so first tip is to make sure the offer converts that you're putting in front of the prospects. The second tip, I'm kind of going off the cuff here. The second tip is to make sure that you communicate that offer in the right way, okay, and get extremely niche specific when you're reaching out. So don't try and be a generalist. Try and pick a niche where you kind of understand the pain points and the benefits that you can offer this particular niche. All right, you need to speak their language, and you need to be able to touch their pain points when you're reaching out to them. Okay, so understand what they're struggling with, understand what they want and what they need, and then if you're specific with what you're offering, i.e. step one, and you've got an offer that converts, then what you can do is really start having a lot of conversations relatively quickly. And that's key. I see too many people trying to be generalists, and it just doesn't work. Okay, even with paid acquisition, the more niche you are, the better, because the algorithms and the machine learning is just so good these days that they will find you the leads. Okay, so be very specific, and don't be a generalist. That's my second tip. And the third tip is when you the third and final tip is when you have the offer that converts and you're specific. Okay, it's just about what I call elbow grease at this point in time. And the way I used to do it is very old school. So I'd start with Google search and find people that's advertising. And then I would reach out to every one of them on their website and put the specific offer that converts in front of them via their contact us page, or if they have an email, I'll email them. Copy and paste type job. Takes some time, but also personalize it if you can. And the next thing I do is find the name of that company, and then I'll go over to, in the UK, it's the HMRC website, and find the directors of those companies. And then I would find their names. I'll figure out if they're making much money, which is easy to do because you can see their annual accounts. And then if it looks like they're making a lot of money and they're a good business, I will connect with them and give on LinkedIn and give a very specific message to that person. Okay, an offer that converts is very specific to the type of business that they are and the niche that they're in. Yes, if you're looking at roofing, okay, that's fairly broad, but it's still fairly specific. Okay, it's a good big niche, but you might want to reach out to flat roof specialists, or roof repairs, or even roof painters, or there's some maintenance guys out there as well that make a lot of money. So get very specific and type that very specific keyword or that very specific niche into Google when you start, and just go narrower and narrower and narrower as you can. And then it's just about putting elbow grease in and reaching out to all these companies that are already advertising first, then go to our organic results and do exactly the same thing. Organic, who's ranking in Google, they're probably spending money on SEO. So that's the next step. And then the final step for a lot of these trades and other industries that you're operating, it is to go to the like in the UK it's called Checkatrade, and it's if it's home improvements and stuff like that, then there's a whole massive database of all of these companies that are on Checkatrade. And I think I was using an example and looking at shutter blinds over here in the UK, and there was like literally 1,500 companies in London that are doing plantation shutters, something stupid like that. Okay, so there's just so much opportunity, and you also have their phone number on Checkatrade. So once you've exhausted all of the people that are advertising in search, and then all the people are advertising in organic, then you can go to the Checkatrade and you can just reach out, put this specific offer that converts in front of all of those people. And if you don't have multiple client conversations at this stage, then there's something wrong. Okay, there's just so much opportunity out there. It's not funny. And I've thought of a fourth thing as well. Once you, if you want to go over and see who's advertising on Facebook, you can go to the Facebook ads library or pick up a spy tool like I think we're using Big Spy at the moment, Big Spy, or Advert Suite or whatever, and even a Facebook ads library, and start seeing who's advertising there, and then reach out to these people in the same way, and then go over to HMRC or the equivalent in the States or Australia and find out who the directors of the company, and then connect with them on LinkedIn. Okay. So this video is going on, it's almost 10 minutes now. So what I would do after this, okay, is I would be, once the conversations start happening and people are intrigued and looking for, further help and look like they might become a client, I would then be building them their funnel. You might use ClickFunnels or Unbounce or whatever, and showing them what that looks like. We use survey funnels to segment leads out and not send them leads that aren't a good fit and all that type of stuff. And they just love that. We usually record a Loom video and send them that Loom video after the phone conversation, their initial phone call. And they just love it. They're buying leads at a price that works for them. They've got very little downside. And if you follow, I guess it's maybe 4 or 5 steps now, 5 steps. Which is number 1, an offer that converts. Number 2, be specific. Number 3, Google search ads and organic ads. Number 4, go over to the Checkatrade and the kind of websites that put all of these companies together. I can't think of the name of it at the moment, but they have them in all industries. It doesn't just have to be trades. There'll be bodies for surgeons and bodies for insurance agents and all that type of stuff. They're all out there and it's all public knowledge. Okay. And the 5th thing is, once you have the sales conversation, show them their funnel, build it for them, make it bespoke, then send them a Loom recording, and you're going to be so good to go. It's not funny. Okay. Thank me later. Is this easy? No, but it's incredibly effective, and it takes hard work and time. But what else are you guys doing at the moment? What excuses do you have? All right. That's it from me. Best of luck, guys. If you haven't checked that out already, there'll be a link to one of our pay-per-lead case studies and how to build a pay-per-lead agency, kind of running similar tactics to what I've just showed you, in the link below. I hope you enjoy it. Speak soon.